Do you
touch toilets?
No, I do not.
have you
Touched toilets?
No, I have not.
will you
Touch toilets?
Maybe.
when will you
Touch toilets? What the fuck are we doing now? Well, if that eyesore of a title's anything to go by, then today we're going to be copying other people's video ideas once again. Last time it was cigarettes in The Wolf Among Us, based on a pissing in heavy rain video. Now it's toilets, water but not from a toilet, and grass. Three nonsensical elements that you have definitely seen in other videos before, all in one horrific video that I will enjoy, and you will not even be aware of. I actually was working on a different Walking Dead video following my cigarette-a-thon, but it got a little overcomplicated and I just confused my own self like always. So now we're doing this one. I also didn't replay the game at all, I just wrote the whole script as an exercise to see if I could even do it, and I did, and then it was like, well, now what? I'm sure I missed one or two things, but my recollection of the game really is all that, so I didn't even need to replay it for that video that I didn't make, that I'm not gonna make. Did I even replay it for this video? Well, if I did, not yet. It's not happened yet. So yeah, for each episode of Season 1 of The Walking Dead, we will be doing our best to quickly, I don't know, find a toilet, touch or at least glimpse water, since I honestly don't know if we'd even be able to do it with these games where you're kind of restricted, you know, and also touch grass. It's a bloody treasure hunt and a half, not just one objective, but three. We've fallen so far. But wherever we fell to, we'll come back up eventually, like a snake slithering its way up a toilet and into your rectum. We've all had that thought before, right?
Yes.
In order for an episode to pass my arbitrary criteria, let's go ahead and say that at least two of the three have to occur. There will undoubtedly be caveats, but we will discover those together in time. Onward, my voice already hurts. For my beloved episode 1, A New Day, things start off pretty goddamn fucking well, you know? Of course we start as Lee Everett in the back of a police cruiser, being escorted to prison. Well, that's not great for him, I suppose. But of course, that police cruiser gets fucking wrecked by a soul zombie, and we go careening off the highway. Lee bangs his leg up pretty bad, but once he yeets his own self out the car window, well, what do you know? We've already touched some grass, I think. Maybe it's just dirt or a little patch, but I would say it counts. And either way, after dispatching of the turned cop and attracting several other walkers, Lee ends up in Clementine's backyard where he isn't just touching grass, he's laying on it and crawling around. What a time he's having. What? And hell, if that pool cover weren't about, we could go for a lovely dip and get our bum leg all infected whilst touching water. Go on, Lee, you coward. Not to fear though, mere moments pass as we enter the ransacked house of Clementine, and some other wax-looking ones. Unavoidable, because God he's a clumsy bastard for this first episode, tumble leads to miraculously a whole cup of water just waiting for Lee to guzzle. And guzzle he bloody does, so I think that more than counts for touching water. Hell, I sincerely do not think we will ever see a character in the entire franchise just casually having a cup of water, so Lee better savor that one. A water bottle, sure, but a cup just left in the kitchen? Far out, man. Far out, man. It's crazy. Unfortunately, we're less lucky on the toilet front for our back. We do encounter a walker jump-scaring Clementine in the restroom of Lee's family's pharmacy, but we aren't able to enter or use that restroom whatsoever. Maybe on a technicality we could count it since it's the only toilet I can scour of the episode, but I need to at least be able to rub my filthy bum leg on the filthy toilet seat that hosts filthy bums.
Thank you.
As I write that sentence and contemplate my existence once more in a public manner for your viewing pleasure, it's time to go to bed. Luckily, I have a good feeling that episode 2 will stand and deliver us the three treasures we seek. You're not gonna sit on a public toilet, are you? You freak? Also, while we do return to the pharmacy briefly in episode 3's intro, the restroom sign has seemingly vanished. I guess we'll never even know what was in there. And as heralded, episode 2, Starved for Help, puts an end to my starvation for some fucking grass. It may be a cat in the picture, but I'm actually a bastard cow. Moo. We start the episode standing in a bush, is what that means. Also, isn't it more horses eat grass? Well, I guess they all eat grass, right? Like, they're all just having a great time just eating grass. Alright, anyway. Doesn't even make sense as well, because we touched grass in the first episode, so what are we even starved for? The toilet one would have made sense. Stupid bastard cow. That sounds weird. But 3 months on, and a swing to the head of this idle walker, Lee Everett clomps onto the grass with new addition to the group, Mark. Let's fucking go, baby. What? Why am I so hyped there? Let's fucking go, baby. We're just flying, man. we're just having a great time, aren't we? All me.
Go on, go on, let's fly.
Lee, Kenny, and Mark all converge upon these two teenagers. Pause. Great, funny. And their teacher, who is caught in a bear trap. All you can really do here is chop the guy's leg off or leave him for dead. And maybe it's explained and I just missed it, but what were these guys doing for 3 months to make it this relatively close to the motor inn? Is it just these three, or is the rest of Ben's class holed up somewhere? Ben does mention their camp being raided, so I guess they were the only ones to escape. Also, we find out in episode 3 that Ben is not even from Macon, like they're on like a school trip or something, right? So they must have come up and then spent 3 months, like, in what happened there? Maybe if I replayed the game I would have known. Anyway, is it ever confirmed if it were the same bandits that raided his camp also? If so, that would explain why Ben was willing to give them supplies to try and protect our group. He already had a prior run-in with them and knew they were not to be messed with. Either way, we return and are tasked by Lily to feed our starving group. So there's food, but seemingly no water, darn. Once we get to the dairy farm and Mark gets felled by Arrow, Lee and St. John brother Danny go out on a recon mission. There is some water in this pot here, simmering on a fire, but Lee just comments on it and doesn't touch it. I'm a little mad, but it would have just scolded him, so I guess he was in the right. Reminds me of the time I somehow accidentally poured boiling water onto my hand instead of the pot noodle I was hoping to devour. I used to be even more clumsy than Lee, if you can believe it. We return to the farm after felling this lady who somehow has Clementine's hat. Never understood how she managed that, and Kenny starts raising suspicion of the brothers for good reason once we're able to bust inside the locked barn door and find quite the murderous man cave. But there's no need to worry, it's finally dinner time, and Lee excuses himself to go poke around and find Mark. We also are able to find an actual toilet in the St. John's house here. Much like the cup of water, I seriously doubt we'll actually see a genuine at-home toilet as things go on, so this is a hell of a moment. I know Lee slipped out to actually search for Mark, but I'm sure he's fine while I'm over here toilet fondling. You could in theory even wash your hands, which would be the whole trifecta and recommended after the fondling, but it just wasn't to be. But as you'll know, it does start to rain later in the episode, and Lee's even knee-deep in a puddle whilst beating on Andy St. John. Oh my goodness, what a wet treat. Episode 2 has it all, folks. Side note, maybe my favourite trope or cliche in all of fiction is when it kind of inexplicably starts raining just to match the heightened tension and atmosphere. It genuinely hits every single time and makes everything feel so climactic and dramatic. And despite what it is intended to evoke, it almost makes me feel cozy every time I hear that thunder rumbling in the distance and the rain crashing down. Big fan of rain in a game to emphasize the game's ending stakes. But yes, episode 2 was a glowing success, or a storming success. We touched grass literally immediately, we got right up close to a genuine toilet, and we not only were enveloped by rainfall, Lee's previously bum filthy wonky knee even had a little splash in this puddle. Yeah. I've just realised we're not really touching the grass per se. We are walking on it, trampling even, but we're not reaching down and grabbing a handful. Well, I won't tell anyone if you won't, and you're not even here, so it's fine. I'm talking to myself. Episode 3 starts with a whimper, as we're mostly treading on concrete instead of the sweet green. We spend a good amount of time in these dilapidated, what? Dilapidated, We spend a good amount of time in these dilapidated jungles of stone, but eventually we do find ourselves on some grassy grass. Some grassy grass, oh yes. Just shit. I believe the first moment is actually when Doug or Carly is murdered by Lily, so that grass just got a little bit of colour on it. I'd almost forgive Lily for this heinous act if, when earlier in her motel room, we'd been able to see a toilet as she scrambles out the bathroom to... Well, what is she planning to do, actually? She tells Lee to stall the bandits here until, what, she gets a collateral headshot on the three? Why didn't she just let Lee talk them down, sort out a deal, and then we could GTFO? I know everyone wants to blame Ben for everything ever, but I'm actually of the mind that a lot of what commences throughout the episode is Lily's fault. As we already discussed, it's not the first time she's scratched that itchy trigger finger, so I suppose it makes sense. Yes, Ben is obviously still at fault for making the deal, but as I said in my video all those years ago, it's even more likely that the bandits would have attacked and killed the group if not for him doing what he did when he did it. The fact they show up at all kinda confirms it, which Ben successfully managed to delay. What an ironic swift of cruel karma for Lily to somewhat be at fault for Kenny's son being bitten when he just straight up murked her dad. That was read really bad, like I was just reading words there, and there was nothing to that. Anyway, as I said, Lily does seem to have this completely empty bathroom. When going through footage, I could have sworn there was a toilet here, but I guess I only saw it in my mind. Maybe someone took it, I don't know. Maybe when did they get to the motor in? Like a few days later. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Well, it's one of those funny moments where you'd think there would be a toilet in there. So maybe that's my mind just going like, oh, there's definitely a toilet in there because there would be a toilet in the motel bathroom. But there isn't because it's a video game and you see that room for like 2 seconds and the shot is emphasizing Lily jumping out the window. So it's one of those funny moments in a game where it's like, hey, that should be there, but it's not because it's not real, because obviously it's not meant to be realistic. It's not adhering to realism. It's just trying to create this like illusion. That's a choice word for the Walking Dead games, but it's trying to create this illusion of reality, and your mind fills in the gaps after the fact, because as I say, I was sure there was a toilet there, but the only reason I presume that is because there would be a toilet there. Why wouldn't there be a toilet there? But there wasn't. Bastards. Bastards, the lot of them.
You might be the only person in the world who cares about that.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Unfortunately, the bad news piles on like the excrement in my bowels, which is apt for episode 3 as it's such a miserable journey. Like, just imagine experiencing all of episode 3's events in the one day it takes place, but also you're backed the fuck up. Like, God, it would be such a bad day. You could barely move, you know? It'd be awful. While we do find a water bottle for Duck. What? Is that a duck? While we do find a water bottle for Duck, we aren't able to gulp that water, and we do not find any puddles or fucking anything. And if you couldn't tell, also no toilets. Episode 2 was a raring success, as well as a glowing or storming one, but episode 3 can only deliver on one of the 3 prompts. If only intense depression were added, we'd be thriving. A dark day for all, as Kenny loses his family, Lily is abandoned due to her rage and trauma, and Lee doesn't get to feel that cool Duraplast on his dumpy ass. Fuck's sake. Well, maybe the usually mid-episode 4 can sort us out. There is a genuine house, so surely, right? And there's a garden in that house. Usually they have grass. Oh, I've got a good feeling about episode 4. Oh, around every corner. More like, we're gonna find a toilet around every corner. Whoa, there it is. Just... what's wrong with me? We're already on episode 4, by the way. Fuck, alright. In the very first minute of the episode, we get excruciatingly close to these grassy paths. Kenny even walks up onto them, but we aren't playing as Kenny. And even when we get into the garden, we're just ever so far off the greenery. It's not until we have a proper wander that we finally get to feel the green, as most of the garden is actually cobbled. Look, there's only so many ways you can describe this stuff. And holy shit, mere minutes pass until we're in the house and we find another fucking toilet. Fuck, in a house this big, there must be at least one more as well. Like, come on. Big house, you know? There must be a toilet in every room. Just carrying around a toilet. Yep, stop. Side note, this is kind of a strange place for a toilet, right? I'm not familiar with American houses, but a toilet in the living room that would be easily mistaken as a closet? I'm not saying it's wrong or bad, just strange. But with a house this big, I guess you just start putting anything anywhere, because there's so much bastard room. Fuck it, why not a toilet in the living room? I'd put another one in the room right next to it. That's where they keep their black void though. As mentioned, I'm certain there's another bathroom upstairs because that's the one I actually recall, but due to Kenny having a little crisis in the attic, we aren't able to explore upstairs for some time. I never thought about it, but I really like how we don't immediately search the whole house, instead getting sidetracked, which, if you know in my videos, I'm a big fan of. Love a tangent about the most useless thing ever. Well, that's the point, isn't it? Well, that's why you're here, you know? You're not going to get that from anyone else.
See you later, cock.
This all leads into Lee burying this Walker kid with his headless dog. Then the stranger comes a stalking. Then Kenny and Lee head off to find a boat, which then leads to Lee going down into the sewer, which then leads to us touching water. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I was so wrapped up in the toilet seat, I neglected the water part. But yeah, unsurprisingly, Lee wades his feet through the sewer stream and even has another tumble, the clumsy bastard. Just like that, we're already done with episode 4. It's always my least favourite episode due to the pacing and some forced moments of conflict between the group, but it is a 10 out of 10 in the medium of toilet, water, and grass. Some more bad news has arrived though. Despite the size of this house, there actually isn't another toilet upstairs. There is another bathroom, with bath and sink in the room, but no toilet or even shower. Just one toilet in this massive house and it's in a glorified closet in the living room. What the fuck is their problem? You're just asking for piss in the tub. Who is gonna bother going all the way downstairs to sit in the toilet closet? I kind of love this oversight of detail though. What house would only have one toilet? There. It just feels so random, like, oh, we need to put it somewhere, just put it there, whatever. Like, they didn't even think about it at all. It's great. Right, so as you probably just saw in that footage there actually is a toilet in that second bathroom upstairs. You'll probably notice the floor mat and then the toilet roll. Probably a toilet there. I guess I just thought the toilet was the sink and I didn't realize. So yeah, there actually is another toilet upstairs and I missed that. Whoops.
Oh, well.
And you would think there's a toilet at Crawford, what with it being a school, but I couldn't see one that was enterable. Alright, it's a 9 out of 10 because of that. Unless I'm wrong. As said, I didn't play the game, did I? And I didn't actually replay the game. I just have footage from my Telltale video, so I just skim through that. I write notes on that and then I write the whole thing out, this script here. Didn't actually replay the game, although I have recently purchased a Japanese physical disc version of the game for PS3. Because I'm such a whore for this game. I just love playing it, and if I can get another platinum trophy, then that's pretty cool, if you ask me. I have just realized a fatal flaw in this video. Do we have to be in control of Lee when finding a toilet, touching water or grass? For the toilet one, frankly, I'll take whatever I can get. The chance of even finding a regular old toilet is so unlikely, I don't think it matters if we're in control. It's not like there's a use toilet prompt to have Lee take a seat or something. The water one as well, like, when are we going to be in control of Lee and be able to go for a swim, right? The grass one though, it could be argued that you have to be able to walk around as Lee on grass. I'm sure no one stopped to think about this, so we'll just carry on. Establishing the ground rules before the final episode, it's a video by me, alright? Yeah, go on. He doesn't know what he's doing. I ask any of this because upon returning to the house after going to search for Vernon, believing he kidnapped Clementine of course, we do stand on the grass in the garden as Ben finally lets Kenny have a piece of his mind. None of this is interactable, and this episode in particular will be tricky for that due to the entirety of the episode taking place on rooftops and such. What? Why have I just written this part in there, not mentioning that it's for episode 5? Oh well. Hello, me again, from the future. You'll notice in that scene that Lee actually isn't standing on the grass. He is standing on the cobbled path, not on the grass. Yep. Sorry about that once again.
God,
I didn't even...
well done.
Not even I picked up on that.
But as expected, episode 5 is pretty short on our 3 desires. It's pretty short in general, actually. There aren't any toilets across the rooftops, and while there is a storm rolling in as the episode comes to an end, there is no rain present. And once we reach that epilogue, the storm seems to have completely dissipated. In fact, if we were to disallow the same patch of grass being applicable, this episode doesn't have anything to offer us. But arguably, you could count the epilogue in which Clementine walks through a field on her way back to the train and Krista and Omid. For the grass thing, I mean, why not? By this point, we're essentially playing as Clementine, given Season 2. I reckon I'm okay with that. And I reckon I'm also okay with the only water we're able to touch in this episode coming directly from our collective eyeballs. But outside of wanky technicalities, man, this episode blows. No time left? More like, no toilets left. You know? Someone took them all. Where'd they go? I mean, really, a toilet is just a state of mind. A toilet is a construct of society. You could go anywhere and piss. That's a toilet, I guess. You know? Anyway. But that's why it's funny. See, that's kind of the whole point of the video. That's why it's funny, right? Because in a game like this, in an apocalyptic setting, people are just gonna piss on the street. They're just gonna take a shit anywhere. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything anymore. But in a quote-unquote civilized society, we have toilets. We have restrooms. We have places to go and do our business. But in a game, in a setting like this, you wouldn't think to see it, because you're like, well, I'm just gonna go piss in this bush. You know? Have a bush piss. You know? Great fun. Oh my god. Where am I? I'm the bush pisser. Stop speaking forever. Okay.
Oh, yes. I wasn't listening to you, sorry.
Anyway, we're literally in a hotel room and there's no toilet. At least no toilet we get to see. I guess this would be the bathroom, so if we were only playing as Clementine here, then we'd be able to spend the rest of our life with the toilet. Such strange sentences are being said here. And I thought that was the end of the video, but then I forgot to remember 400 days. I'm always forgetting to remember 400 days, and it's not a knock on the DLC because I actually really enjoy it more now than ever due to it managing to maintain Season 1's vibe. Everything after this point doesn't really have the energy of Season 1, but 400 Days just has that same feel to it. Season 2 being a distant memory works because the game is miserable, and I do think the final season... hit the mic, sorry. And I do think the final season thematically wraps around very nicely, but nothing has that vibe of Season 1 Walking Dead. It's absolutely nothing special, but I have a real fondness for it, and I've always enjoyed the approach 400 Days took. It's like how the lead guitarist of Neck Deep left over 10 years ago now, yet the band has carried on.
What does that mean? Why have you said that? Where's that come from?
I still love the band and all the music since, but that earlier period has such a special feel and a real mystery to it since it was over so soon. I mean, that was 10 years ago now, and the guy was only actually in the band for 3 years. He has spent far more time out of the band now than the time he was ever in it. So I guess that's similar because months after 400 Days released, the two main guys behind The Walking Dead left Telltale. A lot of those later games are still great, but they just don't have that secret sauce. And that's fine, other sauces are available. But it kinda gives you that what if feeling, like, where would things be now had they stayed? What would Neck Deep have put out next if Lloyd had stayed or returned or done anything other than retire? You stop and think like, oh, there's definitely an alternate reality out there where Lloyd never... Okay, literally that's the next sentence of the script. Why am I... What I'm saying is there's an alternate universe out there where Lloyd never left Neck Deep and Sean Vanneman and Jake Rodkin never left Telltale. And damn, that's just so bittersweet to me, especially since we're still fucking waiting for Wolf Among Us 2. What's that got to do with anything? What's Wolf Among Us got? Well, I gotta mention again, I've made another video since Wolf Among Us 2. I was worried. I remember when I was making the Telltale video, I was worried that I wouldn't get it done in time, and Wolf Among Us 2 would release. The beginning of that video is me saying like, oh, I'll make a video on Wolf Among Us 2 when it comes out this year. And that was... Well, the video was 2 years ago, but I would have written that 3 years ago. And Wolf Among Us 2 still hasn't come out. R.I.P. Wolf Among Us 2. Rolf? Okay. Oh, once again, I say this all in the script, why didn't you just say that? I've made like 3 Telltale related videos since. What the hell is going on? Is a suck? Is a suck? Did I just say is a suck? What the hell is my mouth? Is a second Wolf Among Us gonna hit the tower or what? I know it's just that allure of the what if, the non-existence of another album written by Lloyd versus what did come out next, and knowing it'll never be makes it so intriguing. It's like how a video game or a movie can have a totally different first draft compared to what releases. I always think of the original Uncharted 4 before Amy Hennig left Naughty Dog, or even something like the infamous Half-Life 2 beta leak. Or given very recent news, the fucking Ben Solo movie that the dumb cunts at Disney turned down. We'll probably never get that movie now, and it's just tragic. Oh god. Oh no. The fact that it is in this weird Schrödinger no man's land of existing and not existing all at once makes it so compelling. If you know why Lloyd left the band, then you know why all of this is in fact so bittersweet as well. It's not an exaggeration for me to say that he's probably my favourite guitarist and has literally written my favourite songs. Certain allegations were made, yes, but nothing ever really came of it or was proved, so I'm genuinely shocked that the guy never bounced back and seemingly no one wanted to work with him, or maybe he just had no desire to do music outside of Neck Deep. I don't know, but I'm still trying to write my album, so get in touch, Lloyd. I'll put your simple and effective lead lines to good use. What a tangent, holy.
I believed you. The 9/11 thing was tasteless, though.
Nonetheless, oh yeah, we're on 400 days now, sorry. Took 400 days to get to that. Nonetheless, we start with Vince's story. What's his story? Well, he shoots a guy who got his brother in trouble and then spends the whole time handcuffed on a prison bus. So, you know, do you think there's any toilets around? We are able to finally escape by sacrificing one of our companions, a con man or a nonce, and we run off through a grass field with shotgun in hand and a criminal in the other. What a picture. Wyatt is next, him and his buddy Eddie in a high-speed car chase. Much like Vince's story, we're basically stuck in this one vehicle while a few characters interact. You are able to leave the car if you lose a game of rock, paper, scissors to try and find out if the guy you just ran down is even alive. I love how simple 400 Days is about the stories, trapped in one location with a moral dilemma at the center. It's such good shit. So yeah, no toilets, no water, grass. Okay, I've written grass, but I meant to write no grass, but well, actually, maybe. Well, you know, put a little asterisk on that one. Russell is having a long old walk down a familiar road, and things get even more familiar as a truck approaches. Russell can dive headfirst into the grass where Doug or Carly's corpse remains. A good start. The two drive to a gas station and are fired on, with Russell once again diving headfirst into some grass blades. I tell you, if we do find some water, this guy will be having a great time with all the diving he's doing. Unfortunately, no such water or a toilet is found. 2 instances of grass though. Or was it 3? It was 2. I thought it was 3. Well, I don't know what I'm thinking of. Bonnie's story is easily my least favourite of the bunch, which has always been funny since she's the character who is most featured in Season 2. It does have a lot of potential though. It's already raining, and I know for sure we get into some kind of a field later on. It's probably corn, but I'm hoping for grass. Oh, I'm hoping for grass. Huh. I guess there would be grass either way though. Not to worry, it's grass. Leaves. Well, moving on before these shadow people find us. Finally, we end with Shell, who is a resident of the gas station we've been kinda dancing around all episode. You'd therefore think they have a toilet in this place, but I can't see one and I'm getting mad again. Not to mention they have a working coffee machine and stove, full of soup which probably needs water. There is also this big tub here, but I don't know what that's for. Sure looks suspiciously water adjacent, must be said. Oh my god, yeah. No, instead we get moral decisions like letting this guy leave or executing him for daring to steal supplies. I mean, I'm willing to look the other way if you can find me some water, or grass, or a toilet. You got a toilet on you? On your person? In your pocket? Can I piss in your pocket? That'll do.
Well, that's it there.
The chapter jumps forward a bit, but we're still in the same gas station. There are a lot of dying blades of grass, but none we can seem to wander through. You can choose to escape this group or execute another would-be thief, but that's about it for Shell. No toilets, no water, no grass.
A piece of cake.
No cake.
Oh no.
Just murder. What's the deal with that? Again, 400 Days is really just a sequence of escalating morality. We start with well, that's not how you describe it. Again, 400 Days is really just a sequence of escalating moral greyness. We start with convicted criminals on the first day. There's gotta be a bad or worse choice between the two, so you don't really feel bad either way. Eddie and Wyatt run down a presumed to be a live cop, and the whole interaction is about deciding who will risk their own life to check if the cop even has any left. Russell is faced with the hard choice to go along with a psychopath murdering or to leave him behind, not even trying to save the elderly folks but instead saving himself, but also arguably dooming himself since while Nate can't be trusted, he seems to like Russell enough to keep him around and safe. Though, who really knows, can you trust that guy? Bonnie is faced with lying to her closest companion about being the one to maim his wife, an accident that completely ruptures their friendship if you choose to deceive him, which canonically Bonnie would absolutely have done. What? Oh yeah. If that didn't make sense, because I read and wrote that and I didn't understand. What I'm trying to say is, if there was no choice to make, on your behalf, Bonnie would have just lied, because that's what she as a character would have done. She would have lied about it. She'd have been like, oh, I just found D like this, let's get out of here, Leland.
Blah blah.
And Shell is tasked with not once but twice choosing to execute an unarmed individual for stealing supplies. You notice how these acts become more and more difficult to distinguish between a clear right and wrong. For better or worse, the average person would probably not be conflicted about which criminal to shoot here. Heck, you might even kill them both to ensure your own safety without someone untrustworthy accompanying you. I don't know, I think that's interesting. Anyway, that's the video. Shockingly, we found 2 whole toilets, both in a house, which I guess isn't unusual. We touched grass in all 5 episodes, and also in all but Shell's story in 400 Days, I guess, supposedly. Then again, Wyatt never actually touches their grass, but I definitely believe they have it somewhere. And as for water, it rained in episode 2 and Bonnie's chapter. Lee also had a swig of water in the first episode, which if you couldn't tell by my voice sounds like I need as well right now. Good, I record one video, my voice is gone. And he also had a little paddle in the sewers. I'd say the water is certainly the most varied. How many different ways can you approach a toilet? How many different ways can you touch grass? But water has so many utilities. You can drink it, you can wade in it, you can drown in it, you can see it in a toilet. Truly, water is the apex predator in a 3-way battle against a toilet and a grass. Heck, a traditional toilet doesn't even function without water. Water could even Water could even extinguish a cigarette's light. Probably. But that's a different video, and who knows if this one will even be made. Thanks. Thanks. Oh my god. You know, this seemed like a good idea when I started. It seemed like a good idea. Irish chocolate. A little bit of lovely Irish chocolate. Oh god. Okay, that's yep.